I guess I'm going to have to ask you, Merce, how easy is it being a pundit?
I don't know, really. It's my job. You know, I have to give an opinion. I get asked to go and do the game. I watch the game. I watch it as a fan as well. And I have to give an opinion. Yeah. You know, and my opinion, I wear my heart on my sleeve. You know, I was disappointed. Especially, it's Chelsea. Do you know what I mean? You've got top draw players all over the pitch. You're playing against one of the best defences in the world at the moment. You know, best record, the defence is unbelievable. Why would you only give yourself 30 minutes to score a goal? You need longer than 30 minutes. You've got to take as long as you can. But it's only my opinion. You know, I see it as it is. I'm not going to get into a free-for-all and I'll go back and he goes back and after, you know, it was my opinion. If he wants to say it's easy, it's easy. It's not a problem, you know.
Yeah. Do you think like maybe Ben... Do you think Rosenior deserves a lot of credit, not just from the widespread fans in football, because he has got those results, bar the two, you know, cup games against Arsenal. He's got the wins when he's been asked to get them.
Yeah, look, I see a young British coach coming over to a big club, and you know, yes, it's his style of play and everything like that, but he's doing a decent job at the minute, and I think, you know, we should give some praise to that. He's come over, he's playing, he's facing the media up, he's got his own little way of doing things. And yeah, I think he does deserve a little bit of credit. He's come away with some good results in the Champions League against Napoli. Yes, he was 2-0 down and coming back, and then, you know, again at the weekend against West Ham, 2-0 down, gets his team back into the game, and then goes and wins it. We were a bit disappointed at midweek, and we want to see a good game of football. I think that's where a lot of frustration can creep in, maybe, and the comments coming in, and yeah, it's a it's a semi-final of a cup. You want to see a good game. You know, when it goes to Wembley, and it didn't quite live up to the expectation probably of people, which is where probably the criticism comes. Yeah,
I think Mercer, you know, obviously you watch Chelsea, you know, all the time. You're a fan, as you say. You wear your heart on your sleeve when it comes to them. When you look at Cole Palmer, obviously, who last season was just phenomenal, you know, and he still is the kind of the crown jewel in Chelsea's attack there. When you see him playing at the minute, does he look happy to you? Does he look like he's comfortable with where he's playing or how he's playing? I know he struggled with his injuries as well.
I watched a lot of Chelsea, a lot. Palmer made Jackson, Jackson made Palmer. You know, when you get a player like Palmer's where he plays as a 10 or he drops off into little pockets, you rely on that man up front. Yeah. He is everything for you, and Jackson always went that way. I know he missed loads of chances, and we see it all the time at Chelsea, but he spread the game. Yeah. You know, Ben wouldn't have liked to play against him. Do you know what I mean? Jackson would come and go, and he opened the game up. Palmer would get on the ball then. You watch Palmer now, and he gets on the ball, he puts his foot on, he goes like that, and he's looking, and no one makes runs anymore. Yeah, Pedro will come this way because he's naturally probably a 10, even though I thought he was outstanding in the first half on Tuesday night. I just think that's what he's struggling with. I think he's struggling with that movement up front. He needs that movement. Yeah. And he's not fully fit. He's probably been rushed back. But, yeah, I just didn't understand, you know, when he said about Steve-O and he said about Cole Palmer, they didn't need the minutes. We've got to look after their minutes. Now, they've been put on the pitch to score a goal. If they score a goal, they've got to play another 30 minutes. Yeah. So now they're playing an hour. Now, wouldn't you have been better off playing them for the first 45? See how it goes if Chelsea get back in it, and then here we go. And if they don't, and they do get a little bit blown away like Newcastle did, then you go, off you come. We know we can't win it now. We've had a go. That's the way it is. Because if they'd have scored, they'd have had to ended up playing an hour. And there would have only been one winner in the end, and that would have been Arsenal, whatever way, even if they'd have won that 1-0.
I mean, it was, you know, they did try and throw everything at it, as you say. Steve-O, Esteval, absolutely loved that. That's got to be on the back of his shirt for next season. One player that is seemingly quite frustrating, I guess, for Chelsea fans is Garnacho. I mean, throughout the season, he's had one Premier League goal, and he's been subbed off at half-time 3 times so far. I mean, Ben, when you watch him play, it's almost like, it feels like we've seen him so much better than what he's performing at the moment.
Yeah, you know, he's moved from a big club as well to come to another big club, and you know, just hasn't quite hit the ground running. See his stats there: 12 starts, 1 goal, 3 assists. You'd expect a little bit more from him in this Chelsea side. He shows little bit glimpses of quality, doesn't he? At the time, you think, oh, you know, you can be such a dangerous player, great player. You know, scores good goals. We saw at United, you know, scoring fantastic goals. Just needs to do it on a more consistent basis.
Yeah, I mean, how frustrating is it for you, Paul, when you see him play?
when you're getting subbed off at half time, it's only one reason: you're not working hard enough. You've got to work hard. That's the one must. I think from a young kid at 9, 10, 11 up to the best players in the world, the best ones work hard. They work hard. Do you know, that is the must. First of all, that's all you can assure. The man behind the goal, or the person behind the goal, the fan, the one thing, if they would give their right arm to play in that game, they would give their right arm. And the one thing they can only assure you when they did go out and play in that game is they would run around and work as hard as they can, because they know they haven't got the ability of a professional footballer.
Yeah.
But when they see a professional footballer not working hard, then it becomes unrealistic. And I think at the moment he's got to get back to working hard. The kid's got ability, but that ability's got to be working hard as well. Messi, the best player in the world, when he was at Barcelona in their pomp, the 5-second press, if he can go and close people down, who's the best in the world, it's hard work hard. And last week when he got subbed, he can't tell me that he left everything on that pitch, and that's the problem.
Do you think that's especially in the Premier League as well? Because when you were at Arsenal, say, and players from foreign leagues would come over, there used to apparently be a little bit of a chat being like, over here they'll scream for every tackle and things like that. And is that kind of the case with Garnacho? Just realising what he can unlock for the fans as well.
He's been here a long time now, though, hasn't he? He's been a kid. He's been,
at a new team.
He's been at Man United. He's a young kid at Man United, and he gets sold. You sort of think there's something's not clicking with a kid. He's got to look at his career, and the lad's a talent. He's a talent. When he's hot, but it soon goes. Ben will tell you this football career soon goes very quickly, and he's at the top now, playing for a top team that can win things in the future. Just work hard. If you're not going past the fullback, and it was hard against Wan-Bissaka, how many do go past Wan-Bissaka?
Yeah.
But if you're not, make sure Wan-Bissaka's not going that way, and work hard. And that's why you only get subbed at half time if you're not working hard.
Yeah.
It's very rare you get subbed any other reason, in my opinion.
Yeah. Well, as we mentioned, it's still very early days for Rosenior at Chelsea. So we asked our resident tactico, Pythagoras in Boots, to look at where Chelsea's new head coach has made a difference.
When Chelsea changed manager, the numbers didn't really change, but the feeling has. And that's what makes Liam Rosenior's rather brief emerging tenure still so intriguing. In terms of the data, Chelsea's non-penalty XG has remained elite. It's actually gone slightly up under Rosenior. Defensively, however, there was work to do under Maresca, and there's still work to do now even under Rosenior, but the attacking intent has remained consistent. More importantly, the style has shifted. Under Rosenior, possession isn't just about control, it's about authority. The ball's kept to hurt teams, not merely giving them time to organise themselves. Chelsea do look faster in the final third with more immediate attacking purpose. Fans and players report a sense of electricity in transition, so a team that's more likely to play direct with forward passing rather than just passing side to side for the sake of it. One key personnel tweak that's enabled this is Andre Santos alongside Moises Caicedo in the double pivot, and he gives Chelsea an extra outlet in the build-up. He speeds up the ball from the back, they've got extra passing options there, and it frees up Enzo Fernandez higher up the pitch. It allows them to create close to something that resembles a 4-2-4 in possession, with fullbacks hugging the line, wingers less isolated now because the fullbacks can go around them, and it makes them more effective against low blocks. One thing that's also been noticeable is Rosenior's in-game management. Against Napoli, West Ham, even Arsenal, he's used substitutes to try and shift momentum. It's a very Mourinho-esque approach. Now, in terms of the results, they've been pretty solid. Chelsea have won 6 out of their last 8 games, with the only defeats coming against Arsenal in the League Cup, arguably the best team in the league. Now, even then, these games were competitive, not one-sided. That said, in big games, let's give Maresca credit where it's due. He wasn't the dogmatic coach some made him out to be. In big games, he adapted brilliantly, changing systems when required, tweaking personnel, and that adaptability helped Chelsea to win the Club World Cup, and he consistently found solutions when it mattered. Now, Rosenior may be adding energy and subtle tempo changes, but Maresca had proven the blueprint for handling high-stakes moments. So with Liam Rosenior, Chelsea haven't reinvented themselves, but they have added intention, trust and dynamism to a foundation that was already pretty solid. So Rosenior has brought positives, but at the moment it's too early to say whether this is a step change. Only time will tell whether these little tweaks turn into lasting progress. Hope that helps, Roman. Back to you guys in the studio.
Thank you very much, as ever, mate. Ben, can you see that more direct attacking intent from Chelsea?
You certainly saw it second half against West Ham. Obviously 2-0 down, that little bit more urgency. I think those stats we were talking before, is it 3 games from the Premier League that we were sort of analysing, so there's a lot more to go to sort of really sort of mirror the stats and compare them a little bit more. But say certainly more, second half of West Ham, first half thought they were poor in terms of everything, the attacking way, not get the ball forward a little bit, slowly. But that certainly changed, and I think a lot of them stats would probably have come from sort of that second half.
So Jay, when you saw that at the time, pre-match, what did you make of it? And now you know what Rosenior was upset about. What are your thoughts on it now?
Again, I think it's just one of those things that happen in every single game. It happens all the time.
What does? As in,
when
plays in your half, or the manager having a go?
When the goalkeeping coach from the other side will come and stand in your half, in the opposition half, and the goalkeeper's kicking long balls. That's just what happens. But I can understand his frustrations, that's for sure, because he's like saying,
what did you think when
my team are warming up?
What did you think when you were warming up and the opposition?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I didn't like it. Especially for me personally. Like, I used to do a lot of quick feet drills around kind of where the halfway line is before I go in. So, and I see balls coming over near me, because not every kick is going to be accurate. So they're going to be flying over your head. Sometimes they've like whistled past me. It's frustrating. You look back and you say, what are you doing? So I can understand that. But I actually really like the way Rosenior handles the media. I like the way he speaks. He's all about business. He's all about winning. And those little inches and millimeters that can help you get their upper hand. You want to use that. Maybe Arsenal did do those kind of things intentionally to, kind of take the players off their game. I'm not too sure, but maybe so. Because
I suppose one point would be that Arsenal were saying, we're at home, this is our stadium, this is our pitch, we will go wherever we like.
I mean, there is sportsmanship. I mean, look, he's over the halfway line, that's what I'm talking about. So, like, he's receiving the ball from the goalkeeper there.
Okay.
Yeah, he's taking goal kicks. He's, hitting the sidewinders over the defender's head. That's what he's practicing, because they're going to do that in games. But he's saying, I don't mind you doing it, but just stay in your half. It's that simple. And he's got upset about it because, and he's right. He's right. They should respect. Arsenal should respect. I know Arsenal are at home, but Arsenal should show the sportsmanship and the respect to do their warm-up in their half, and then Chelsea's warm-up in Chelsea's half. But it's going to be funny going forward for the rest of the season, because a lot of people are going to be looking at this now and see how Chelsea do their warm-ups.
Yeah, I was just about to say that. Well, let's have a listen to what the journalists John Cross and Henry Winter said on Back Pages tonight about it.
I challenge everyone, I think, really, to have a look at warm-ups up and down Premier League games this weekend, and I guarantee you will see a fair number of goalkeeping coaches or coaches knocking balls to their goalkeepers to then ping it long and practice their long kicking. That's what happened, and the ball was going into Chelsea's half. It's quite a common occurrence. It happens most weeks.
I'm sure some Chelsea fans will quite like it, that he's being a little bit feisty. But if you do things like that, do it after you've won. Don't do it when it looks a little bit like, is he trying to distract, or is that just him? I think an element of it is Liam. He has this huge belief in himself. 6 wins in 8 games is a good start. His career started superbly, but just tone it down a little bit with your public comments.
Tone it down a bit with the public comments. I know that you disagree with that, because you've just said how good he is with the media.
Oh, I mean, he's been asked a question, right? If he's been asked a question, he's answering the question.
And he's answered it honestly, which is what we want.
Exactly.
We want people to answer it honestly.
That's what I don't like it when I hear managers sit on the fence saying, oh, we'll see this. And, I prefer you to just be straight to the point. That's why I said I like what Rosenior is doing. He's being very honest, very blunt, telling people the way it is, answering the question the way it's been asked. And I think it's good. And he does have a very valid point, because it is frustrating. I've been in that situation. And what if it does hit a player in the face? What if one of these keepers miskicked the ball?
Have you ever seen it?
Yeah, I've seen it hit people's, backs and legs, but I've not hit it. I've not seen it hit someone in the face. But if that happens, then what? When someone's not looking at the ball and it comes from like 60 yards and hits you in the back of the head, you're going to feel it. That's going to hurt. That could affect you for the game.
Is the general feeling, people on those pitches in the warm-up, the actual footballers, is the general feeling that you stick in your half, you do not go over the halfway line? Because when you talk about the goalkeeping coaches collecting like practice goal kicks, I do see that a lot. It does seem like it's unwritten rule that is allowed.
No, one thing is for sure. Chelsea would have their goalkeeping coach doing the same thing at some point before. But obviously this is Rosenior. He is the new manager. So, he won't like it. And he's probably said to his coaching staff now, I don't want to see you going in the opposition half, receiving kicks from the goalkeeper. You need to stay in your half. Because people are going to look at it now. But there's no doubt about it, every team does it. And it's just one of them things, you pull them up on it or you just let it go.
We've actually got a poll about this asking, were Arsenal disrespectful with that? And 2/3 are saying no, they weren't. OK, so you can keep voting on that poll. But Sky Sports have partnered with Finalysis to discover true fan opinion. To have your say on your club, download the Finalysis app, scan the QR code, which is on the side of the screen right now for more details.
Mikel Arteta's work at Arsenal is being viewed in an even brighter light after the recent coaching shakeups elsewhere. With Chelsea parting ways with Enzo Maresca and Manchester United moving on from Ruben Amorim, the contrast is hard to miss. Arsenal has kept moving forward under Arteta, giving him time through difficult stretches, and now seeing the payoff as the club pushes again in the Premier League title race. It also raises a bigger question about strategy. While Chelsea and United are changing direction again, Arteta has been in place for more than 6 years, outlasting a long list of managers across those two clubs in that span. That stability has become part of the story, and it was a major talking point on the Seeing Red podcast with Tom Canton and John Cross. Beyond reacting to Amorim's dismissal and breaking down wins over Aston Villa and Bournemouth, plus Manchester City's loss to Chelsea, the conversation kept returning to one core idea: structure. Not just who is the coach, but how much power that coach has, and whether the club is built to support a long-term project. Cross pointed to Arsenal as a rare example of patience turning into real strength. He argued that Arsenal's willingness to back Arteta through the messy early phases helped create the stable position they're in now, and that this kind of time and support investment is what can turn a club into something truly solid. Canton's response was sharp and honest. Arteta's arc, he said, has almost become a problem for other clubs, because it tempts them to keep coaches they probably shouldn't. But at the same time, it's still the best example of what can happen when you hire the right person and actually give them time. And that time wasn't smooth. The discussion highlighted how Arsenal could easily have pulled the plug early. 2 8th-place finishes, then 5th, missing out on the Champions League, and a Europa League semi-final exit to Unai Emery's Villarreal. Any of those moments could have pushed a club into panic mode. Instead, the argument is that Arsenal recognized the bigger reality. Arteta didn't have the resources to compete at the required level right away. The squad needed a rebuild. The roster needed to be refreshed. That's where the comparison to Chelsea and United becomes even more pointed. The podcast suggested that recruitment and decision-making structure are often what determine whether a coach survives. If signings don't land, results suffer. And if a coach doesn't have enough influence, or the club isn't aligned behind a clear plan, it becomes much easier for things to collapse. In other words, giving time only works if the coach is empowered to shape the team in a way that matches the vision. Cross also emphasized that Arteta's situation stood out because he pushed to be a true manager, not just a head coach. The idea is simple. Top coaches want a real say in the build, and they want the club to match what they were promised when they took the job. The discussion even pointed to how Arteta survived a low moment, like the home loss to Burnley, because the club stayed behind him. And in that period, with fan pressure affected by the COVID-era environment, Arsenal were able to hold their nerve instead of reacting emotionally. Meanwhile, the big unknowns now shift back to Chelsea and Manchester United. Who replaces Amorim? And how will the next chapter look at Chelsea? The answers may come sooner than people expect. But for Arsenal, the reality stays the same. They're stable, they're moving forward, and they're still in the title chase, while others are starting over again. And that contrast can shape how people judge every manager in the league. Because when two massive clubs hit the reset button again, it forces the same question Cross raised on the show. Is the quick switch actually fixing the problem, or just delaying the real work? The bigger takeaway from the discussion is that time isn't a magic solution by itself. It only becomes valuable when the club's structure supports the plan, and when the coach has the influence to push the squad in the direction he believes it needs to go. That's why the distinction between head coach and manager kept coming up. The podcast point is that if a coach is expected to own the results, he usually wants a meaningful say in the decisions that shape those results. And if he doesn't get that, patience alone won't save him. That's also where Arteta's early struggles get reframed. Those finishes and setbacks could have become a reason to panic. Instead, they became evidence of why alignment matters, because Arsenal chose to treat them as part of a build, not a final verdict. And once the squad was reshaped the way the club believed it needed to be, the results started to reflect that long-term approach. So the repercussions aren't just about Arsenal looking stable, it's about how stability changes your margin for error. When you don't reset every year, you're not constantly starting from zero. You're building on decisions, learning from setbacks, and keeping a clearer identity. For Chelsea and Manchester United, the immediate consequence is obvious. They're changing direction again, which means the next appointment carries even more weight. Because every new coach isn't just judged on results. He's judged on whether the club is finally giving him the structure and authority that the role demands. That's why the question at the end matters so much. Who will replace Amorim, and how will Liam Rosenior do at Chelsea? Because those answers will test the exact theme the show kept returning to. Time, support, structure, and control. And for Arsenal, it's a different kind of pressure. Stability doesn't guarantee trophies, but it does keep you in the fight longer. And right now, while others restart, Arsenal get to stay focused on what they're already doing, chasing the Premier League title.